In this next tutorial, I want to go through and I'm going to make a high poly version of my column. So I'm going to come over here, and if you don't have it already available, make sure that you can see your Scene Explorer. So there's my column. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to add an underscore LP to the name here. And mine happens to be BN column LP. I'm going to come up here to selection sets, type in LP and hit enter. And I'm going to select my model, right click on it, say clone, and clone as a copy, and I'm going to change the end. I'm going to just put an underscore HP on there and hit OK. Now let's come over here to Scene Explorer. Let's hide the low poly, make sure only the high poly is selected. And make sure you make unique is grayed out so that we're verifying that we're only making changes to this model, not the other one. Okay. So now what we want to do is we want to go through and make a high-res version of this for baking out textures. We don't really want to do a ton. We're really just going to go in and turn on NURMS. So notice if we turn that on, everything just completely mushes down. So we're going to have to do a little bit of work. So let's turn that off. I'm going to go ahead and turn on edged faces here. And so this model is a relatively simple model, even though if you look at it, it's kind of complex. If I select one of these edges on the top of it and hit ring, it's going to wrap all the way around because it is, it's basically just this four-sided model. And so really one way, probably the easiest way for me to go through is if I come in and connect and I just set it to 2 segments and I set my pinch to something really wide, like 90, I'm going to go 98. And just click OK. And let's come around the side, select that edge and hit ring, and then hit connect again. And let's see, if we turn on NURMS, at least those sides are being preserved, right? So we know we're going in the right direction. So let's grab this edge down here at the bottom, hit ring, and then connect that. And select this edge, go on the other side. So basically we're going and we're wrapping it around on opposite sides. Ring and connect. All right, so let's 98 is really extreme, but these are also some really wide spaces. So if I take like this this wider section here along the base and hit ring on that and hit connect, it's pretty tight, but like it's not too, it's almost like square there, where on the big one. So I kind of like that. Like that works for that big section. Probably on this guy, he's a larger section. If I grab that ring and connect, that's pretty good. That's not too over the top. What happens if we get this big long column section here and connect that? That may not be enough. See how it's kind of getting mushy down there? So even at 98, that may be too much. So I'm going to undo until that goes away. And so now, let's see. Let's grab this edge. And I'm going to hit loop. So it's going to grab every parallel edge going down. And really, I want to kind of zoom in here. I'm going to deselect sort of this large area because I don't want to be, because I'm going to be going through and I'm going to be connecting more, right? So let's grab all these guys. I just don't want the one in this big large section in the middle that I already connected, because we're going to want to use NURMS to really preserve those edges. Now I've got those, and let's hit ring now. Now if I go into connect, this may be a little bit too extreme, because if you look at these edges here, like that's really tight. So maybe we'll set this to like 95 and hit OK. And so now if I zoom out and hit NURMS, that looks really good. Like it's preserving really well down here on this guy. I like how that's looking on the base. So let's go ahead and we'll do that up on the top as well. And again, you're going to need to go through and define edges just on anywhere that you see it really going mushy and disappearing. So remember, we already did this guy here, so we'll just deselect those. Were there any other ones we did? No, it looks like it was just that one. So, and from here now we could grab that ring, and if we hit connect, it'll connect all those, And now let's just test out our work by hitting, oops, not smoothing groups. We're going to turn on NURMS, zoom out. There we go, look at that. That's looking really good. Right? It's looking, if I orbit around, I can still see clearly defined all those edges. I got a little bit of a little rounded edge there, so that looks nice. All right, let's turn that off. And so we'll have to do the same thing here on the actual column round portion. So I just double click to grab the entire thing, and I'm going to deselect the main body there. And then from there I'm going to hit ring, and now let's go ahead and connect that. Let's see if we turn that on. That's pretty good. I think the only thing we really need to do is just define this edge here right at the very top. I'm really zooming in. And so from there I'll probably go to edit and turn on Swift Loop and then see if I can find it. You know, it's having a hard time getting it because the mesh is so big. So maybe what I'll do is I'll grab the edge and I'll ring select. And if I come down here to connect, oops, I didn't hit ring. I only selected the one edge. There we go. So that's at 95. Let's set it really high, like 99. Can I do like 99.9? No. I guess we'll just leave it at 99 and say okay. Anything more than that it has a hard time with. So let's see if we double check this. That looks really good, right? Our mesh, the edges are all very well defined on it. Right, and I think this will work really nice as a high poly model. So now we'll just make sure if I click, all right, I do have a selection set I made for the low poly. Let's just call this one HP. And there we go. Now we have our high poly mesh for our column. So let's, we'll save this and turn this guy in. But if you notice, you'll have the 2 over here. And notice mine do say BN_. Yours should have your initials on them.